I'm Russ Fisher, and this is the Wright Report. Tonight we're joined by Chairman Jim Renacci of the Republican Party of Medina County. Jim, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Russ. Good to be here.
As Chairman of the Republican Party of Medina County, what are some of your goals to continue the growth of the party here?
Well, Russ, that's an interesting question because I think the goal has to be to grow the party. Look, people are walking away from the Republican Party in many cases. People are moving from Republican to Independent because they don't know what the party stands for in many cases. They don't know the candidates. I think our goal is to really make sure we're talking about the policies, but that we're also listening, which I think is the key. We have to listen. We have to realize that people are upset with, in many ways, the direction our country's going. They're upset with, in many ways, our state's going. They're upset with, in many cases, the way Republicans are moving forward, and they don't believe the Republican Party is standing for its values and principles anymore. Our goal is going to be to continue to talk about values, talk about principles, and get people involved and listen. That has to be the key.
With COVID in 2020, can you talk a little bit about the challenges you had coming in during the transition?
Sure. Well, I got to tell you, COVID really hurt us a little bit in 2020. If you remember, Russ, the primary was delayed, so we were not able to seat a new chairman, which was myself. By the time I got seated, it was July. We're already halfway through the year. We had a lot of work to do between July and November, and we got off the ground very quickly. But we had to do it through COVID, and we had to do it through some of the restrictions that were out there, and the mask mandates, and the number of people, and all those things that many of the listeners were concerned about. But we did it. We had our first event here in August, our grand opening of our new headquarters, which I invite all of you to come to, 2771 Medina Road, Medina, Ohio, right next to the Thirsty Cowboy. We had almost 1,500 people here for our kickoff, and that was during COVID. But we used the parking lot. We had good social distancing. Those were the things we were able to do, and people had fun. We had a band, we had food. These are the things people want to do. They just don't want to come to a stuffy party. They want to come and talk and get to know others who think in many ways the same way. And remember, what I tell people, you don't have to think 100% the same way as everybody else. Like Ronald Reagan said, just 80%. And we got a group of people in here, and it was really a great kickoff. But we've had other events here. And what we've been able to do is use the headquarters really as a place to come get to know people. And then many times we go right next door to the Thirsty Cowboy, which is a much bigger venue, especially if it's a closed event. And we do our events there. So we've been able to get through. It's been very interesting, but we've been able to do it very well even through COVID.
Looking back at 2020, what are some of the accomplishments that you've seen develop for the party in the county?
Well, look, I think we've talked about this on some of the other episodes. We've increased the number of Central Committee people, and we want to continue to increase people in the Central Committee. We've gotten people more involved. We've raised a lot more money. A lot of people aren't aware that we've probably raised more in the months from August to November than we raised in many years here at the Medina County Republican Party. But that's because people were interested in what we were doing. They saw actions, they saw principles, they saw policies, but they also saw fun, which is what we're going to continue to do. So we were able to get that accomplished, grow the Central Committee. We've been continuing to add to some of the events that we have coming. We've got a slew of events that we're talking about. We've added a policy committee to our executive committee. We've done a lot of things, not because Jim Renacci's like this smart person. I'll tell you how we did it. I went around and talked to every chairman around and found what was working and used their ideas, which, by the way, is what I've done my entire life. My success in business has never really been by coming up with the idea. I usually went out and found out what other people are doing. So many of the other parties are doing things that we were never doing. Quite frankly, we're bringing those in. It's one of the reasons why we're going to have David Prager in I mean, that instead of just having the standard Lincoln Day, we're going to bring a national host in. We're going to continue to do that. These are the kind of things people want to see, do, and be a part of.
Since you brought up Dennis Prager, I was just kind of curious, what was the vision that you put into as far as trying to attract somebody as well known as Dennis Prager?
Well, look, what we figured was we can continue to do the same old thing the same old way, or we can go out and bring in people with national attention and bring them in so that people in the county start to realize we're not just this little party. We're a national party. We're part of a national movement of moving principles and policies forward, and we're going to bring in speakers who will bring those people forward. What's interesting, and I learned this from other counties, if you bring in a national speaker, you just don't attract people from Medina County. Dennis Prager is going to bring people all the way from Cincinnati, Columbus, all over the state because they want to see and listen to a national figure. It's one of the things that we think is going to help us become more and more successful, and that's really the vision. We need to grow and expand and not just bring in that standard. Look, our elected officials are great, but they can come talk to our elected officials any day at the headquarters. They're not going to be able to hear Dennis Prager every day.
Very true. Speaking of the headquarters, now that this is a permanent location, what was the thought process in trying to establish a permanent location throughout the year?
Well, look, I traveled the state during 2018. I found that the counties that were most successful had a headquarters all year round. And I never understood why Medina never had a headquarters all year round. In fact, if you look at the most successful counties, they do have them. Now, some counties are very small, but Medina County is in the top 15 counties in the state. We should have always had a headquarters. And what I noticed was the headquarters in other places were being used for other events. They were being used for other things, but they were also a meeting place and a central location. And I still remember when I brought the idea to the executive committee, they were like, some people were like, oh yeah, what are you going to do in that place from January until in October? I said, you just watch. And we've already seen that. When you have a headquarters, you have people coming. That's why we have so many volunteer events here now. We've had a series on the Constitution. We have a series on safety. This is the headquarters. This is the lifeblood right now of the Medina County Republican Party because it's a place that we can meet and grow. And what's great about it? Big parking lot and right next to the Thirsty Cowboy, which also gives people an opportunity to come here and then stop over there if they like.
It's interesting. Last week I was here and I saw there was a young man came in and he said, my brother sent me here to get signed up and get active. And, it was just kind of threw me back for a little bit, but I've seen that quite a few times. There's just a lot of people coming in here. They're wanting to get involved and wanting to get engaged. Let's talk about the volunteer engagement. Okay, I mean, I've seen so many people. What do you attribute the activity and the willingness of people wanting to get involved in?
Sure. Well, think about it. Prior to this year, if you wanted to get involved in the Medina County Republican Party, what did you do? Where did you go? Who did you talk to? Most people don't even know who the chairman is. But now you have a place to go. So like you just said in the one instance, people say, hey, go up to 2771 Medina Road, right next to, and I keep saying right next to Thirsty Cowboy because everybody knows that, right next to Thirsty Cowboy. You find our location and you can volunteer. Well, in previous years, if it was June and you wanted to volunteer, most of the time, look, people aren't going to look and try and find a place to volunteer. They want to have easy access to go to a place where they can volunteer. That's what was so important about having the headquarters and having a place where, like you said, somebody can come here, we have hours, and say, hey, I want to volunteer, I want to be part of it, and now they can. So we're going to continue to grow because we have that home.
For my own personal involvement, I like many others out there, on different social media platforms, you get your account locked down and all that type of stuff. I kind of reached my tipping point, and everybody has some type of tipping point that says, this is enough, and I need to get involved. So here I am. I'm on the Central Committee, which, as I've heard you talk about the importance of the Central Committee and getting out there, walking your precincts, and getting to know other Republican like-minded people out there.
By the way, I'm going to interrupt you there. It's not just Republicans. There's independents and even Democrats
Absolutely.
that you can talk to and convince them that, hey, maybe they got to come and at least listen.
Right. Well, in closing, Mr. Renacci, I just want to thank you for your leadership, your vision, and the energy you bring to the Republican Party of Medina County. I think it's truly something very special going on here in the county, and I just want to say thank you.
Well, thank you, Russ. And again, it's not Jim Renacci. It is the people and the volunteers and the people that just needed somebody to start saying, we can do this. I started out by saying we're all in this together, and that's what's so important. This has never been about one person. This is about people coming together, having a vision, following a path, and going forward, and we're going to continue to do that. But thank you. And again, I want to thank everybody who's really stepped up since August to make this party move forward.
That's all we have for time for tonight. Thanks to Jim Renacci for joining us. You can always view every episode on our Facebook page and on our new YouTube channel, or you can find a link at our website at medinagop.org. I'm Russ Fisher, and good night.